Alright, this is Chat UTD and the preview of sorts of the game against Sunderland tomorrow. As I mentioned in my last video, I'll be going to the game with my lad, and the honest truth is that I don't know what to expect. There's a scale of what could happen, the bottom of which is horrendous, the top of which is fantastic, and any of the results on that scale could happen. Anything in between those results could happen. The bottom end of the scale, would I be absolutely stunned if we lost 3-0, 2 or 3-0? No, I wouldn't. The top end of the scale, would I be absolutely stunned if we won 3 or 4-0? I'd probably be more stunned, but no, I probably wouldn't be that surprised. It's Sunderland at home. Earlier in the season, when I saw that fixture, I earmarked it as, at the very least, a guaranteed 3 points. And to be brutally honest, when I bought the tickets, I thought, well, I'll pick that one because there's a good chance he might see a win. As it's getting nearer, I'm not sure at all. Just don't know what to expect. The eternal optimist in me says, do you know what, at some point this could click. I don't know where on earth I'm getting that from. I have no evidence to suggest it's going to click, but maybe in 3 years, when we're on an open top bus touring around Stretford and near Old Trafford and going down Talbot Road, and we're lifting the Premier League trophy in a euphoric state, we look back and go, remember that game against Sunderland when everyone was saying before it, Amorim's going to lose his job, and it clicked. And everything since then has just been amazing. And then we woke up, but at some point maybe it will. We've got a lot of individual players that are very talented. I don't for a second think it's going to click tomorrow. I'm just saying that possibility always remains, doesn't it? And you always have to hope that it's going to happen. Maybe it's a day where we're clinical. Maybe it's a day where we start to show some dynamism up front and we're ruthless, and the players go and express themselves. Maybe. But that's just pure hope rather than expectation. But if it can happen against anyone, it can happen against Sunderland. If only in a one-off game, maybe it could happen against Sunderland. What happens if we lose tomorrow regarding Amorim? I think it becomes untenable personally. I mean, there's a story today suggesting, it's from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic, who's a decent source, a bit of a sound, what do you call it? A soundboard, that's the wrong thing. A voice for the club, let's put it that way. Senior moment there. He's a voice for the club, and they put sound bites out to him, I think, for him to share, and he said that Jim Ratcliffe is of a mind to give Amorim the full season. I'm pretty sure Laurie Whitwell was also one of the journalists that said that the club expects Europe this season. They think the squad is good enough for Europe, to get Europe. So you've got to keep in mind, in years gone by, we might have been in a position at this sort of stage of the season where there was talk of a manager being sacked and United were 1 or 2 points off top 4. So you can be in not great form and still be in a decent position in the league. We're not in not great form, we're in shocking form, and we have been for nearly a year. So I don't see any evidence to suggest that even if we beat Sunderland tomorrow, we are good enough to get into Europe with Ruben Amorim as the manager. It would have to click. I know I was partially joking before, but it would have to click, like I suggested there, for that to happen. Because you're going to have to play pretty well to get in Europe, or certainly find a way to win. And I think what we see with this team is it can't win when it doesn't play well. It has to have. I thought we played really well against Burnley. I know we scraped a result, but I thought we played really well against Burnley, and obviously we won that game. We're not capable of putting in a 6 out of 10 and winning a game, because we're not good enough to do that. So we're going to have to improve significantly, and I don't believe that's going to happen. So I don't necessarily believe that that narrative coming out of the club. If they hadn't said the thing about Europe, that we want Europe this season, then I probably would believe it. And as I said the other day, maybe they go down the route of you know what, if we don't get Europe, we keep the manager anyway, because that's the right thing to do. We're going to give, this is a long-term project, and we're going to give him the time within reason that he needs. But they're making noises suggesting Europe. Ruben Amorim's not getting Europe. So I think if we lose tomorrow, it's an international break. It is an incredibly sticky wicket for Amorim to be on. You've got, by the look of it, Glasner, the noise coming out is that he would just take the job now. Probably wouldn't be a massive compensation package. I think the fella from Bournemouth has got a release clause. I don't know what that is, but I don't think it's astronomical. And obviously you've got Southgate, who would be available straight away. I don't think they'll go for Southgate. I think Glasner's probably the one that they would go for. Or maybe they go with an interim option until the end of the season, and Glasner sees out his contract at Crystal Palace. But yeah, I think if you lose at home to Sunderland on the back of the start to the season, it's finished. You can't recover from that. So my hope is that Lamens starts the game, and that there's an aggression and an urgency, as Amorim has said, that he thinks the team shows more urgency after a defeat, which is pretty much every week. So I don't know what he's on about with that, but when it seems to reach a little bit of a crescendo and the noise reaches a crescendo, the team pulls something out of the bag. And as I say, we're playing Sunderland, no disrespect to them. I think everyone would have them as going back down. So it's a chance to get 3 points definitely on the board. Where do you think we're going to finish this season? I mean, as it stands now, I mean, there's so many unanswered questions. But let me put it this way: if Amorim stays as manager for the majority of this season, at least, where do you think we're going to finish? Because people might think I'm joking when I say this and that I'm being facetious, but Sunderland, without looking, are on a similar amount of points as us. I think they might even be higher up than us. They're going to go down, in my opinion. Imagine they beat us tomorrow and go 4 or 5 points clear of us, or whatever it might be. There's a team that's going to go down. Where does it end? You've got to beat Sunderland at home. Burnley are the other team that came up, that we already played, and we scraped past them, and we deserved to, but we did scrape past them. Who else came up? Can't remember. Oh, was it Leeds? I think Leeds will probably go back down. I think the ones that came up will go back down. And United are relying on that, because the existing Premier League team, of the existing Premier League teams, over the time that Amorim's been there, we're the worst. Points-wise, we're the worst. I think we've got, is it now 34 in 33? We've got 34 points in 33 games. So we're 5 games off a full Premier League season. And I think of the existing Premier League teams that were there last season and are still there I think we've got the worst record over that period of time. So you've got to hope that the bottom 3 go down if Amorim stays in charge. Or does it turn around? And if you think it will turn around, in the comments, tell me how, what's going to change. And again, I'm not being facetious. I genuinely would love some optimism to know what's going to happen. I think we could do a few basic things that would very quickly improve things on paper, but whether or not you do that is a different matter. And also, I saw a comment on a video the other day, it might have even been this morning actually, where a guy said, it's like United have got a curse on them since the Glazers took charge, or certainly since Ferguson left. But he said about this, he said it's like a curse, and he mentioned, I guess, the impact the Glazers have had on the whole club, and he mentioned the mentality of the players. The two things are absolutely interlinked, and he said we need to get rid of the Glazers, and players need to adopt a winning mentality. There's two things that absolutely go hand in hand with each other. I don't believe in curses. or a hex on the club or whatever, but the Glazers are the curse. They've not brought a curse with them. They are the curse of this football club. And they taint everything around it. And as I've mentioned before, they've destroyed it to such a degree that when you make a change, like a manager change, or new players come in, or and they can be good players and they can be good managers, and you change the system and the formation and the style of play, nothing really changes, because the one denominator that remains is the Glazers. Ineos come in as a new entity and there's no impact, certainly no positive impact. So, as I mentioned before, the only bounce we've had since Ollie is when the club announced that the Glazers might sell it. It's the best run of form we've had for years, or certainly in the last few years. And that for me is because there was a feeling of freedom. It was like a new lease of life. It felt like a big collective sigh of relief. Because, mark my words, everybody at that club, including the players, knows that if the Glazers left, the whole thing looks different. The whole outlook looks different. The fans will be so much more positive and optimistic and forgiving and relaxed. The atmosphere will be great. You want to play with that backdrop. You don't. We are devoid of any hope with these people in charge. And I know I'm repeating myself. I've said it before, but it's true. So I said before, leading into what I've just said then, that Amorim, he can make some changes that on paper would make a difference. But would it make a difference? I thought Marcus Rashford leaving would make a massive difference. It hasn't made any, has it? So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if it would make a difference. I'm going to end with a little bit of a plea to you. When I started this channel 2.5 years ago nearly, and you can see this is not slick. This is not heavy on production. There are no acoustic sound engineers in this room. It's me on my phone with a little bit of a background talking about Man United. You either like that or you don't, I suppose. Now, a bit more than a year ago, I think I had about between 10 and 15 subscribers. Never really kept much paid much attention to it, to be honest. But I've noticed it crept up and it crept up. Then it sort of plateaued a bit. But recently it's crept up again. I'm on 35 now. Now, listen, I know that there's channels with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers, but I'm just little old me. So I'm grateful that someone's taken the time out of their day to watch my video, and if they've subscribed to it, it's fantastic. But I'm going to ask a favour of you. If you watch my video, please like, and if you've not already subscribed, subscribe. I know we live in a world where your phone's going off left, right and centre with notifications. I know it's a pain in the arse sometimes if you're not bothered about that notification, but if you can, please subscribe if you like the channel, that is. But if you like the video, if you comment on the video, it raises the profile of the video. If it raises the profile of the video, I get more people that might subscribe. If particularly the subscribers that are there already, if you could share it with mates that you think might be interested in this type of thing, with a view for me to get to 50 subscribers. Because once I get to 50 subscribers, I can do live videos, and ultimately what I want to do, and I've always had this as a long-standing ambition for me and this channel, is that I want to interact with someone. I want to have two of us on here being able to chat. And to do stuff like that, my understanding is you need about 50 subscribers. So whenever you like, whenever you subscribe, whenever you make a comment, it raises the profile of the video. And I've never been hot on doing things like I'm doing here now, because I'm not a salesman and it goes against what I'm like as a person, really. But it will just be massively appreciated if you can. And let's hope for a win at the weekend. Looking like it's going to be a wet one. Glazers out.